Hi everybody, this is Boogest Reviews, and today I'm going to be doing a review on the McFarlane Toys DC Multiverse Green Arrow figure. So before we take a look at Arrow, let's take a look at the accessories that he comes with. And he does come with quite a few, so that's pretty cool. So first up, he comes with the basic DC stand we get with all the DC Multiverse figures. And you can pop this into either foot, which he does benefit from having this because he doesn't really want to stand. So yeah, he is the first DC Multiverse figure that really doesn't want to stand for me. And it's mostly because of his legs, which I have an issue with, which I will get into here in a few. Up next, he comes with his data file, which contains a picture there from the show. And if you want to read that, go ahead and pause that right now. He comes with his Quiver. And it looks pretty good. It's got some nice sculpted detail in it. It's got this shimmery paint collar to it. So yeah, so that's pretty cool. And it's a really hard plastic. And you just port this into his back. Just pops in really easily. He comes with some arrows for the Quiver. And these arrows are pretty plain. And I figured that they actually like snapped into place in the Quiver. But no, they're... Let me get that like that. As you can see, there is nothing holding these in here. So when you put them in, they just kind of shake around all willy-nilly when you're posing it. There's nothing to keep them from moving up and down and back and forth or just falling out. So I really don't like that. Because, you know, it just bothers me. I would have preferred the arrows just be sculpted in the Quiver, honestly. I think that would have just been better. And finally, he comes with his bow and arrow, and the arrow is attached to it. I think it would have been nice if he would have came with a different bow where the arrow is not drawn back. But it has some really nice sculpt detail to it. It's cast in black and has some gunmetal painted over top of it, and some silver. And as you can see, that's warped just a little bit. But it does look pretty good, and you can get him in some pretty good poses. Especially with my mod. I did mod the hood out a little bit, and I will show that in just a second. But he can hold this in either hand. Let me just get that in there. If you're wanting to have him hold it normally like that, then it looks funny. It looks very funny. So it's meant to be posed, you know, as if he's drawing it back. So there is my quick attempt at getting him to hold it like he's shooting it. And my issue was he could only look straight ahead. But now with my mod, he can actually look to the side like that. So, like I said, it is kind of cool that you can get him actually in a pose where it looks like he's drawing back the arrow. But it would have been nice if they would have included a bow where it didn't have the arrow attached to it. Because it is permanently attached to it. You can't separate it. It's not a separate piece that's just glued on. It's all one piece. And as you can see, the green back here is a little sloppily painted on. And there is him holding the bow and arrow like that. That's another way I like to pose him. I like him posed like that. So now let's go ahead and take a look at the head sculpt. So taking a look at the head sculpt, it's actually not a bad likeness of Stephen Amell as Arrow. You know, it could have been a little bit better, but I don't think it looks like it's too bad of a representation of him. And originally, as you can see, the hood was glued permanently in place right there. So originally, all you could do with his head is pretty much just shift it up and down like that. You couldn't turn it side to side at all. So I pried that off. And that does come off, which he does have a hole in his head, which I should glue this down. But now, you can get his head moving side to side and up and down. And you know, any way you need. Like I said, I need to glue it back down. But now, with the hood on, since it is now a separate piece, he can move his head to the side all the way, you know, any way you need to get him looking. You can get him looking down, you can get him looking up. But yeah, all I did was I just pried these off. I dunked it in some hot water, and then just pried this out. And you will see the indentation of where it was glued in. So prying that loose made a lot of difference. That really irritated me about the figure, that you could not get his head moving pretty much at all. Yeah, they shouldn't have even put any articulation in at all. But I'm glad they did, because since I pried that up, you can get his head moving, you know, any way you want to. Now, The details are sculpted really nicely on his suit. That texturing looks really nice. And the paint is also really nice too. You've got the zipper right there. But as you can see, his torso does look a little funny. It looks like he's sucking his gut in. It just looks, I don't know, it looks funny. And I'm not sure if it's because it's this soft torso over that joint. He has the joint kind of like Joker does. Or because there were plastic things holding him in the package that were kind of pressing against his torso there. So I don't know if that was the reason. It's a lot more noticeable if you don't have his hands posed like I had them, because as you can see, it looks like he's sucking in. It looks really weird. And I'm not sure how you could get that to pop out a little bit, because like I said, it's kind of conforming to that joint back there. So it might just be because of that joint, but that definitely looks funny. You get some of his arrows sculpted here on the holder on his thigh. Looks pretty good. And you get some more of that texturing to his suit. But as you can see, his legs are posed really weirdly, or made really weirdly, because as you can see, it doesn't go straight down. It goes kind of at an angle. It's kind of got like a slight S shape to it, because it goes like this. So yeah, that's really weird, and it can be difficult to pose him because of that. So that is kind of irritating. Like I said, I did have, this is the first DC Multiverse figure I've had some gripes with, is this Arrow figure. And then you get some laces sculpted on his boots there. So the sculpt work and the coloring looks really good. But yeah, the body I did have quite a few issues with. And that sucks because, like I said, I'm a huge fan of DC Multiverse, and this is the first Multiverse figure I've had some problems with. So now I'm going to go over his articulation. So originally, the head sculpt did not move hardly at all. But now, with that hood piece detached there, you can move his head side to side all the way. You can move his head up all the way. Like I said, I need to glue that down. If it was glued down, it wouldn't pop up like that. And he can look down all the way. So he has a lot of improved articulation there because of that. He has ball-jointed shoulders that can move out all the way. He has butterfly joints that can move back and forth, up and down, and all around. He has swiveled the bicep, double-jointed elbow. He has those universal ball-jointed wrists that can move up all the way, down all the way, and they can spin all around. He has an ab crunch that can move back just slightly. He can crunch forward all the way, but that looks awful like that. I was a fan of this joint here for Joker. It just really worked well for him. But I don't think it was too good for Arrow, because that looks terrible. You do get a little bit of that tilting, and you can move it side to side, and I knew that was going to happen. His quiver fell off. But it can also move side to side. He has ball-jointed hips that can just about do a complete split. They lack just a little bit. His thighs swivel just a little bit. He has the ball-jointed hips, and he has that joint that goes down in his thighs, but it really doesn't move at all, so that's pretty bothersome. He has double-jointed knee that can bend in that far. He has those universal ball-jointed ankles that can move up all the way, or down all the way, up all the way, and move side to side. And he has toe articulation that can move up all the way. So now, let's do some size comparisons. Here he is next to the Mattel Arrow figure. And let's get him standing there. And I did improve the bow on this one. I added the string right there. And as you can see, his hood is attached to the head, but it's not attached to the torso right here, so you could still get all the articulation you need to out of it. And that's the way I wish this Arrow figure would have been. Which I did make it that way, and it did improve it, but I shouldn't have had to have done that. There he is next to the DC Multiverse Batman figure. And finally, there he is next to the DC Multiverse Arkham Joker figure. So, overall, this figure is good, but it does have a lot of drawbacks. Like I said, this is the first DC Multiverse figure I've had quite a few issues with. Like the hood, I did resolve that myself, but again, I shouldn't have to do that. The legs being bent really weirdly and making him not be able to stand. And that soft torso that looks like he's constantly sucking his stomach in. and it looks even worse if you try to get him bent forward. So I do like this figure, but I also have as many gripes with the figure as I do have praises. So that's my review. If you like this review, be sure to hit the like button and subscribe to my channel. Thanks for watching.